Most history books celebrate success. They tell us about discoveries that changed the world, medicines that saved millions, and ideas that pushed humanity forward. We learn the names of inventors, scientists, and visionaries, and we are taught to admire the brilliance of human curiosity. But history also has a quieter side. A side that does not appear in bold letters or colorful illustrations. A side written in the margins, where questions were asked, but answers came at a terrible cost. Tonight's story is about that side of history. It is not a story of heroes and villains in the traditional sense. Instead, it is a story about choices. About moments when curiosity moved faster than compassion, and when the desire to understand the world overshadowed the responsibility to protect one another. Throughout time, experiments were conducted in the name of knowledge. Some were well-intentioned. Others were driven by ambition, fear, or a belief that certain lives mattered less than others. Many of them happened quietly, far away from public attention, hidden behind technical language and official reports. And yet, their consequences still echo today. As you listen, you may find yourself wondering how ordinary people, doctors, researchers, officials came to justify actions that now feel unthinkable. You may also realize how fragile ethical boundaries can be when power goes unchecked. Before we begin, if you enjoy thoughtful storytelling like this, stories that explore history not just as a series of events, but as human experiences, I invite you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It helps this space continue sharing stories that encourage reflection, not outrage, and understanding, not fear. Now, settle in. Lower the lights. Slow your breath. Let us step quietly into a chapter of human history that is rarely told aloud. In many eras, science advanced without a moral map. There were no ethics committees, no clear rules about consent, and no shared agreement on what should never be done, no matter the potential reward. Knowledge was seen as progress, and progress was often treated as an unquestionable good. Those who held authority decided where the line was drawn. Those without power often became part of the experiment. Sometimes, the subjects were told they were being helped. Other times, they were not told anything at all. What mattered was not their understanding, but the data their lives could provide. One of the most unsettling aspects of these experiments is how ordinary they seemed at the time. They were carried out in hospitals, universities, and government programs. They were written up in reports and discussed in professional meetings, using calm language that hid the human cost beneath statistics and observations. In some cases, the harm was not immediate or dramatic. It unfolded slowly, over years or even decades. Decisions were made to observe rather than intervene, to record rather than respond. Suffering became something to measure, not something to stop. In other cases, the environment itself encouraged cruelty. When systems labeled certain groups as inferior or expendable, empathy faded. People were no longer seen as individuals with fears, families, and dreams, but as variables in an equation. Perhaps the most disturbing lesson is this: many of these actions were not carried out by monsters. They were carried out by professionals doing what they believed was expected of them. The danger did not come from chaos, but from order. From procedures followed without question. Eventually, public awareness began to grow. Whistleblowers spoke. Journalists asked difficult questions. Survivors told their stories. Slowly, societies were forced to confront what had been done in their name. Out of these painful realizations came new rules. Concepts like informed consent, voluntary participation, and the right to withdraw became central to modern research ethics. These principles now stand as safeguards, reminding us that no discovery is worth the loss of human dignity. But safeguards only work when they are remembered. History shows us that ethical standards are not permanent achievements. They are ongoing commitments, requiring attention, courage, and accountability. Each generation inherits not only the benefits of past knowledge, but also the responsibility to learn from past mistakes. These stories matter not because they make us uncomfortable, but because they make us aware. Awareness is the first step toward ensuring that progress and humanity move forward together, rather than apart. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study 1932–1972. For 40 years, hundreds of black men in the United States were observed, not treated. They were told they were receiving medical care. They were not told they had syphilis. They were not offered treatment, even after a cure became available. Doctors watched the disease progress. Not to help, but to document. What makes this experiment especially haunting is not violence, but patience. The quiet decision to do nothing, again and again, while suffering unfolded in predictable ways. It ended only when the truth reached the public. By then, the damage was irreversible. The Nazi medical experiments. During World War II, concentration camps became laboratories. Prisoners were exposed to extreme cold, disease, isolation, and exhaustion. Not because answers could not be found another way, but because the subjects were dehumanized. The logic was chillingly simple. If someone is not considered fully human, then their pain does not count. After the war, the world was forced to confront what happens when science serves ideology instead of humanity. From this horror came the Nuremberg Code, a foundation of modern medical ethics. But it arrived too late for millions. Japan's Unit 731. Hidden behind secrecy, Unit 731 conducted experiments under the guise of medical research. Victims were not volunteers. They were prisoners. Diseases were studied by deliberate exposure. Human bodies were treated as tools. For decades, these crimes were buried beneath silence and political convenience. Justice was incomplete. Memory was delayed. And that silence remains part of the harm. The Stanford Prison Experiment 1971. Not all cruelty looks like violence. Sometimes it looks like permission. In a simulated prison, ordinary students were assigned roles of guards and prisoners. Within days, behavior changed. Power reshaped identity. Authority eroded empathy. Submission altered self-worth. The experiment was stopped early, not because it was successful, but because it became dangerous. Its lesson remains unsettling. Cruelty does not always require monsters. Sometimes it only requires a system that allows it. As the day fades into night, these stories invite us to slow down and reflect. They ask us to look beyond the surface of progress and consider the values guiding it. They remind us that knowledge alone does not define advancement. How we obtain that knowledge matters just as much. Remembering these chapters of history is not about assigning guilt to the present. It is about understanding patterns. About recognizing how easily good intentions can drift when oversight disappears, and how quickly silence can become permission. In a world that still celebrates innovation and speed, these lessons remain deeply relevant. New technologies emerge. New questions arise. And with them comes the same responsibility faced by those before us, to choose empathy over convenience, and respect over results. Perhaps the quiet power of these stories lies in their ability to humanize history. They bring us closer to the individuals whose voices were ignored, and whose experiences shaped the rules we rely on today. By remembering them, we honor not only what was learned, but what should never be repeated. Now, let these thoughts rest. Allow your mind to loosen its grip on the day, your shoulders to soften, and your breathing to find its natural rhythm. History has spoken for tonight, and it asks nothing more of you than awareness. Thank you for spending this time here. Thank you for listening. May your night be calm, your dreams gentle, and your rest deep. Good night.